The cell and the chains, the cold metal floor pressed against Callan's back. He woke up slowly, his head pounding like a drum. His arms were pulled behind him, chained. The air smelled strange, like burned wires and something sweet that made. His nose hurt. He blinked. The room was dim, lit by glowing green lights on the walls. It wasn't a normal cell. The walls were smooth and pulsing, like skin stretched over bone. Alien. Cold. Alive. Callan sat up with effort. His hands were cuffed behind his back, connected to the wall by a thick glowing cord. Across from him, someone was watching. A woman. Not human. She sat in the corner, her knees pulled to her chest. Her skin was pale blue, with faint glowing lines running across her arms. Her eyes shimmered silver. Her dark hair was tied in a loose braid. She looked tired, sad. She didn't speak at first, just stared. Callan tried to speak. His throat was dry. Where are we? The woman didn't answer right away. Then, in a soft voice, she said, "You're awake. Good." He tried to move closer. The cord stopped him. "What is this place?" "A prison," she whispered. "One where they don't want answers. Just reactions." Callan looked around. There were no doors, only a glowing field in front of them like glass, but made of light. He pushed with his foot. It didn't move. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name is Sira," she said. "And you are now part of their test." Callan didn't like the sound of that. Suddenly, loud clicking echoed outside the walls. Strange. Shadows moved past the light. Long legs, sharp edges. Inhuman shapes. Sira didn't flinch. She just closed her eyes and whispered something in a language he didn't know. Then came the scream. A human voice. Male. Far away, but full of pain. Callan's chest tightened. "What are they doing?" Sira opened her eyes again. "They take one of us each day. Sometimes two. To study. To break." "Why us?" "Because we resist," she said. "We hide things inside emotions, memories, love, fear. They can't see them, so they try to force them out." Callan felt sweat on his neck. The cell was growing colder. "You've been here long?" he asked. Sira nodded. 21 cycles. "I stopped counting after that." He noticed something then, tiny scars on her wrists, like she had worn chains for a long time. "They didn't take you yet?" "They will," she said. "Soon." Callan looked down at his own cuffs. They pulsed softly, reacting to his heartbeat. "What do they want from us?" Sira's eyes locked on his. Submission. He didn't speak after that. The silence was heavy. Hours passed. Maybe more. Then the green lights dimmed. The field in front of them flickered once, twice. A signal. Sira suddenly leaned closer. Her voice was lower now. "They're watching, listening." Callan nodded slowly. "Why tell me this?" "Because they'll give us a choice," she whispered. "One you won't like." "What kind of choice?" She looked into his eyes and said the words that made Callan's heart stop. "If we mate, they will let us go." His face went pale. "What?" "They want it. They feed on shame, on fear, on the emotions we hide. They think that if we do it in front of them, it means we're broken, beaten, controlled." Callan pulled back, his cuffs tightening as he moved. "You're joking." "I wish I was," she said, voice hollow. He stared at her. "You want me to?" "No," she said firmly. "I don't want to. I'm telling you what's coming. They won't ask. They'll push us until we say yes, or until we die." Callan sat in shock. Outside, the clicking grew louder again. Something passed the field, and this time it stopped. A large, insect-like shape, multi-eyed, watching. Then it moved on. Ira leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. I thought I was ready for anything, Callan muttered. No one is ready for this, she replied. But if we don't plan, we won't have a choice. He didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the wall, at the glowing light that held them prisoner, and tried to breathe through the panic building in his chest. Freedom had a price, and Syrah had just whispered the unthinkable. What? She said. Callan sat frozen. He kept replaying her words in his mind. If we mate, they will let us go. The idea felt disgusting. Wrong. Not because of Syrah, but because it wasn't their choice. Someone else wanted it. Someone sick. Watching. Waiting. He turned away from her and pulled at the cuffs again. They didn't move. Syrah stayed quiet, but her silver eyes watched him. Finally, Callan spoke. How do you know? I saw it happen, she said. To others, a few gave in. The Watchers released them. And the ones who didn't? She looked down. They screamed. Callan's throat tightened. He whispered, This is a game to them. Syrah nodded slowly. To the Val Sharn, emotion is energy, especially strong emotions. They feed on fear. They worship control. They think if they can break a bond between two prisoners, they've won. Callan shook his head. You're not bonded to me. She gave a small, sad smile. Not yet. A buzzing sound filled the cell. The light dimmed, then turned purple. The Watchers were watching again. Syrah moved closer, her hands still bound behind her. She sat just 1 foot away from Callan now. Her body trembled, but she kept her voice calm. They'll expect us to act, to talk softly, to touch, even fake. Intimacy will give them what they want. Callan's heart pounded. So, we fake it? For now, she said. Until we find a way out. But we must be careful. If we resist too hard, they punish us. If we give in too quickly, they release us but change us. What do you mean? Syrah's voice grew even quieter. I met one girl who was released. She had done what they asked. She came back later, screaming. They let her go ... but they changed her. Her mind, her memory, her soul. A cold wave ran through Callan's chest. He asked, So what do? We give them a little, just enough to watch. But we hold the truth inside, Syrah said. We lie with our bodies, not our hearts. He stared at her, unsure if he admired her or feared what she had learned in this place. Then the door opened, not fully, but a small panel at the top. A drone flew in. It floated above them, clicking softly. Its eye glowed red. It circled them once, then sprayed the room with a thin mist. Syrah held her breath. Callan did the same. The mist smelled sweet, warm, almost like perfume, but wrong. It made his muscles relax, made him feel heavy. He leaned back. Syrah moved a little closer and whispered again. Stay focused. This gas, it makes people want to forget. It pushes emotions up. Use your training. I'm just a mechanic, Callan whispered back. Her eyes widened. Then I hope you're a fast learner. The drone floated back out. The purple light grew stronger. The walls began too. Hummed softly like a heartbeat. Syrah placed her shoulder against his. It was cold, gentle. I'm sorry for this, she said. Callan didn't respond. He understood. This wasn't about romance, This was war. A quiet war inside a prison where love, pain, and shame were all weapons. And the enemy watched with many eyes. He let his head rest beside hers. Just touching the Watchers responded. The purple lights turned warmer, more golden. Syrah whispered, They're pleased. Callan gritted his teeth. Then let's give them just enough. No more. She smiled slightly. Exactly. That night, they sat like that shoulder to shoulder saying nothing. But their silence wasn't weakness, It was resistance. Every heartbeat was a small rebellion. Every breath shared in silence told the watchers, "You don't own us yet." The test begins. Callan didn't sleep that night. He sat close to Syrah, back straight, muscles tense. Even when his eyes closed for a moment, his body wouldn't relax. The mist in the air had faded, but its effects still pulled at his thoughts. He felt warm, confused, like part of him was slipping, but he held on. Syrah didn't speak. She was still, watching the walls, listening for the smallest sound. Then it came. Footsteps. Heavy. Wet dot outside the glowing barrier. A dark shape moved. Not the drone this time. Something alive. Large. Its feet slapped against the floor with a sound like meat hitting stone. Callan's heart beat faster. The shape stopped in front of their cell. The lights inside flickered. Syrah grabbed Callan's hand gently. Not for show. For fear. A moment later, the barrier blinked off. It didn't open all the way. Just enough to let something in. A second prisoner. He stumbled inside, thrown like trash. A man. Human. His skin was pale, his shirt torn, his arms bruised. The barrier snapped closed behind him. The man groaned. "No, no, please." Syrah rushed to help him. Callan followed. "Who are you?" Callan asked. The man was shaking. "Jason, I was in cell 5. Syrah checked his pulse. He was alive. Barely. Jason grabbed Callan's shirt. "They made me watch. They put us together. Her and me. They wanted us to. And when we didn't, they took her." His eyes were wide, haunted. "They put her in a machine," he said. She screamed so long, her voice broke. Callan looked at Syrah. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. "This is the warning," she whispered. "They want us to see what happens when we refuse." Jason passed out. Syrah helped lay him down in the corner. "They'll take him again soon," she said. "He was only sent here to scare us." Callan sat beside her. It worked. The lights flickered again. Syrah's body stiffened. "They're watching now, watching how we react. What do we do?" Syrah slowly leaned into Callan's side. He felt her breath near his ear. "We pretend to give in. A little more. Just enough to make them wait. Buy time." She placed her hand gently on his knee. A simple gesture, but it made Callan's heart pound. He wanted to move away, but he knew he couldn't, not if they wanted to survive. He touched her shoulder, softly, calmly. The lights glowed warmer. Syrah nodded. "It's working." Outside the cell, one of the watchers scratched a long, bony finger across the glass-like wall. Its head tilted sideways, studying them. Hungry. Curious. Callan tried not to look directly at it. "Will they always be watching?" he asked. "Yes," Syrah whispered. "Until they decide it's time." That night, a new drone entered. This one looked different, longer, darker, with small blinking lights across its wings. It didn't spray gas. Instead, it played music. Soft, strange sounds. Like a heartbeat mixed with whispers. A sound that pulled. At the mind, Syrah shivered. Callan felt something heavy press against his chest. Not from the drone, but from the emotion it forced out. Sadness, regret, desire, all mixed together. "They're pushing," she said, "trying to make us act." Callan breathed slowly. He placed his forehead against hers. "Let's give them the show," he whispered, "but not our souls." She nodded. Together, they touched hand to hand, forehead to forehead like lovers in the dark. But in their minds, they were soldiers. They weren't giving up. They were waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting to strike. Not like this. The next cycle came quickly. Jason was gone. Callan woke up and found the cell empty where Jason had been lying. No blood, no signs, Just gone. Sierra said nothing. She only stared at the place where he had been. They took him back. She said, he didn't give them what they wanted. So now he's part of something worse. Callan looked away. We couldn't help him. We still might help ourselves, she whispered. The lights shifted. The color turned soft red a sign. They're expecting more from us today, Sierra said. More touching, more signals. Callan nodded. Then we give them something. Just not everything. They sat close, shoulder to shoulder. Sierra leaned her head on Callan's chest. He wrapped his arm around her slowly. Her body felt cold. Shaking Dot, he could tell she hated this. So did he. The watchers outside buzzed and clicked. Something slithered past the wall. Watching. Waiting. Look at them, Callan said quietly. They really think this means they've won? Sierra nodded. To them, love is a tool, something to break. But they don't understand the human mind. Or the human heart, Callan added. They continued their act. Holding, whispering, pretending. Until the lights dimmed. The barrier glowed bright and blinked. 3 times. Sierra sat up straight. That's new. A click came from the wall, and something slid out of a hidden panel. A small bowl. Inside it was food. Real food. Bread, fruit, water. Callan reached toward it, but Sierra stopped him. It's a test. Poison? Worse. Reward. Her voice was tight. They give us food only when we please them, like pets. Callan pulled his hand back. So they're training us? She nodded. Like animals in a lab. He stared at the food. His stomach growled, but he didn't touch it. I'll eat when I'm free, he muttered. Sierra smiled for the first time. That's the human spirit. The barrier flashed again. Then dash open. Just an inch. A warning. Sierra stood slowly. They're offering us the door now. If we take the final step. Callan froze. You mean, yes, she said. The full act. Mating. That's what they want. That's what they're waiting for. Callan looked at her. Really looked. She was beautiful. Strong, broken in places. But still standing. He moved away. Not like this, he said softly. Sierra looked at him. With wide eyes. I won't touch you for them. I won't make you into a performance. Not for our freedom. Not for anything. She stepped forward. Callan, we may die. Then I die with dignity, he said. Not like this. Never like this. Her eyes watered. And then something changed. Red lights turned blue. Cold. Angry. The cell shook slightly. They're not pleased, she whispered. A sound echoed from the hall. Heavy steps, many of them. Punishment, she said. For disobedience. Callan took her hand. No, he said. It's time. Time for what? Time to stop pretending. He pulled her behind him and stepped toward the food tray. But instead of eating it, he kicked it across the floor. It shattered. The bowl cracked. Come get me, Callan shouted at the watchers. You want emotion? Try rage? The barrier glowed red. Something screamed from outside. Sierra grabbed his shoulder. What are you doing? Buying time, he said. Making. Them angry means they stop watching for a moment. It's when we move. She stared at him, then nodded. You have a plan? Not yet, he said. But I have this. He lifted his wrist. The metal cuff had loosened just slightly in the last few days. They think they broke me, he said. They forgot we bend. We don't break. Sierra smiled. The lights flickered again. The storm was coming. But so was freedom. The plan. Lights in the cells stayed red for many hours. No food came. No drones. No watchers. Just silence. It was worse than the noise. Sierra sat against the wall, watching the glowing cuffs on Callan's wrists. You really think you can break them? I think they've made a mistake, Callan said. They think. Humans are soft, emotional, easy to control. He held up his wrist. The cuff had shifted slightly again, just enough for him to move his thumb. But we're clever, and we don't stop. Syrah crawled closer. What's the plan? Callan pointed to the small camera orb in the corner of the ceiling. They're always watching. But the watchers don't check every system. The drones follow orders. If we break their pattern, even for a second, we might confuse them. Syrah nodded slowly. Make them think we've snapped. Exactly. He looked around the floor. In the corner, the remains of the broken food bowls still lay scattered. He took a sharp shard from the broken edge and pressed it to the wall, where the glowing tether connected to his cuff. Do you know how to reroute a power pulse? He asked. Syrah raised an eyebrow. I'm not just a prisoner. I used to repair solar cores on my planet, Callan grinned. Then let's jam their signal. They worked together, carefully scraping wires near the wall panel. Syrah guided him, telling him when to stop, when to press, when to wait. Her fingers were fast and steady. After 2 hours, the glowing tether dimmed. The cuff around Callan's right wrist fell off. He stared at it in shock. Syrah gasped. Callan rubbed his wrist. Step 1. Now they'll come for you, she whispered. I'm counting on it. Suddenly, the red lights turned green dot too fast. Syrah's eyes widened. They know. The barrier HUMMED. Our watcher stepped into view. Taller than the others. Its skin was black like tar, and its face had no mouth, just 6 glowing red eyes. It stared at Callan. Syrah stepped in front of him. He's sick, she said, voice shaking. The cuffs fell by themselves. The watcher tilted its head, then raised a long, thin arm and pressed a button on its chest. The wall behind them opened. A drone floated in. Callan moved fast. He lunged toward the drone, grabbed the tray it carried, and smashed it into the watcher's head. The alien stumbled backward. Syrah screamed. The drone fired a small bolt of light, but it missed, striking the wall. Callan ripped the second cuff off the wall with all his strength. It sparked, but broke free. He turned to Syrah. Run! She followed him as the barrier shut behind them, but too late. They were already out. Alarms blared across the hall. Red lights flashed. Sirens wailed. More drones floated in the distance. Which way? Syrah shouted. I don't know. Just keep moving. They ran down a long corridor. The walls were slick and alive, pulsing like veins. Doors opened and closed on both sides. Behind, one, Callan saw another human. A child crying, alone. He stopped. We can't leave him, he said. Syrah pulled him forward. Not now. First, escape. Then, we come back. Callan clenched his fists. Promise? I swear. They turned left down a darker hallway. There, at the far end, was a panel. A control station. Callan ran to it. The interface was alien, but Syrah understood the symbols. This controls the cell locks. Can you open them all? I can try. She placed her hand on the scanner. The machine buzzed. A voice barked something in a deep, crackling language. The panel lit up. All cells unlocked, she whispered. Callan heard it, the sound of dozens of cell doors sliding, open all across the prison. Screams, voices, running. They had started something. Rebellion. Syrah turned to him, breathless. They'll send everything they have now. Let them, Callan said. We're not alone anymore. From behind them, figures appeared, humans, aliens, all prisoners. Some limped. Some carried pieces of metal as weapons. They followed Callan and Syrah, not as leaders, as the ones who dared. Freedom's edge, the prison shook with chaos. Sirens screamed. Walls pulsed red. The watchers ran in all directions. no longer calm, no longer in control. Cowan ran down the main corridor with Sierra beside him. Behind them, over 40 prisoners followed humans. And aliens, all broken once, now rising together. Smoke filled the air. Drones flew overhead, firing small stun blasts, but many missed. The prisoners moved like a wave, fast and full of rage. "We're almost there," Sierra yelled. "The docking bay is ahead." Callan nodded, gripping a metal pipe he'd taken from the control panel room. His arms ached, his chest burned, but he didn't stop. They turned a corner and saw them. 6 watchers. Armored, armed, blocking the hallway. One of them stepped forward and raised a hand. A strange light glowed from its palm. "They're going to fire." Someone shouted behind Callan. "No," Callan said. "Not if we get there first." He charged. The others followed. A loud blast hit the wall beside him, but he didn't stop. Screamed his name, but Callan leapt forward and slammed the pipe into the watcher's face. Sparks flew. Another prisoner tackled a second watcher. A human woman jumped on a drone and ripped its wings off. The hallway became a storm of shouting, fighting, and fire. And silence. The watchers were down. No one cheered. They were too tired, too focused. Sierra stepped over a body and checked the scanner at the hallway's end. "The bay is locked, but I can open it." "Do it fast," Callan said. "We don't have long." Behind them, the prison echoed with boots, reinforcements. Sierra worked quickly. Her hands shook. "It's not just a door. There's a shield system. If I open the bay too fast, it'll vent us into space." "Then do it slow," Callan said, gripping her shoulder. "I trust you." The door made a loud hiss, then opened. Beyond it was a massive chamber. Dark metal walls. Crates, a half-loaded transport ship on a glowing platform. "That's our ride," Callan said. They rushed in. "Everyone, inside the ship," Sierra shouted. "Now!" The prisoners poured in, helping the weak, the injured. Callan ran to the cockpit. The controls were alien, but the basics were the same: thrust, nav, shield, fuel. He started flipping switches. Lights came on. Engines roared. Sierra jumped into the co-pilot seat beside him. "You sure you can fly this?" "No," Callan said, "but I'm good at pretending." The main gate behind them began to shake. The watchers were coming. Come on, he muttered. The ship hummed. The engine lights went green. Then a loud clang shook the walls. "They're breaching the hangar," Sierra said. "Then we lift now." He hit the thrusters. The ship rose, slow at first, then faster. The door burst open behind them. Watchers poured in, firing. One shot hit the back ramp. Sparks flew, but the ship was already lifting. Sierra activated the shield bubble. Then the transport blasted through the hangar's force field, leaving the prison behind. Silence. The stars stretched out in front of them. They were free. Callan leaned back in the seat, breathing hard. He looked at Sierra. She looked at him. Tears in her eyes. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Down below, the prison was in chaos. And for the first time, the watchers realized something terrifying. Emotion could not be controlled, not when it was full of fire. The whisper. That changed everything. The ship flew in silence. No one spoke for a long time. Stars outside were calm, quiet. But inside the transport, everything felt heavy, like the air carried all the pain they had left behind. Callan sat at the front, hands shaking lightly on the controls. He stared ahead, watching the stars blur as the ship entered light speed. His body was tired, but his mind wouldn't rest. Beside him, Sierra sat still. Her eyes stared down at her lap. She hadn't said much since they escaped. The ship held over 40 survivors now. Some were lying on the floor, bandaged and silent. Others whispered prayers. A few cried, but no one was screaming. They were safe for now. Do you think they'll follow us? Callan finally asked. Sira shook her head. No, not yet. They lost control. The Val Sharn don't chase what they fear. Callan glanced at her. Then maybe we taught them something. She gave a tired smile. Or reminded them what humans really are. He turned back to the stars. I still can't believe we made it. Sira looked at him, her eyes soft. You made it happen. We made it happen, he said. She leaned back in the seat and let out a slow breath. Do you know what saved us, Callan? He shook his head. She leaned closer and whispered, You said no. He blinked. What? That day, in the cell, when I told you what they wanted? You looked at me and said, Not like this. Refused. Sira placed her hand on his. That whisper. It changed everything. Callan swallowed hard. I just couldn't. I wouldn't become what they wanted. And that gave me strength, she said. It gave all of us strength. For a moment, Callan didn't know what to say. She squeezed his hand gently. You showed them that love is not something they can take, and that choice is stronger than fear. He looked into her eyes. Do we go home now? Sira's face turned sad. I don't have a home. My planet was taken long ago. He nodded slowly. Then we find one. Together. She smiled. You'd stay with me? After what we survived? Callan said. You're the only one who understands. They sat in silence again, but it was a warm silence. Then a light on the console flashed. Incoming signal. Callan opened the transmission. A voice came through. Broken, scared. This is the colony ship Aurelus. We received your signal. Are you survivors from the Val Sharn prison sector? Sira leaned forward. Yes, there are many of us. Some wounded. Some not ready to speak. Coordinates. Received, the voice said. We'll guide you in. And thank you. The galaxy will hear your story. Callan turned to Sira. We're not the only ones. No, she said. We're just the first to escape. As the ship turned toward the nearest human outpost, the survivors behind them began to speak quiet at first, then stronger. One began to sing. Another wept. Two former enemies, once prisoners in opposite cells, now sat beside each other, sharing food and warmth thought hope had returned. And all because of one whisper, *the end.